Good evening. I'd like to call the November 20th meeting to order. And before we start, I'd like to introduce our board to you.
Brian Baker.
Donna Cook.
Anil Vera.
Kathy Slagle.
Frank Lamia.
Thank you. So our first order of business is approval of the minutes. Everyone have a chance to look at them? Any corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes from
October 16th.
October 16.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Our first order of business is BOA 23.12. It is a public hearing to consider the request of the owner utility boards of the City of Foley doing business as Riviera Utilities for a special exception to build a substation on the property located on North Station Drive and south of Gayfer Road Extension. Okay. Staff, would
Hey, thank you.
tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay. Okay, like you said, this is Utilities Board of Foley doing business as Riviera, which we have two gentlemen from Riviera here, and they're requesting a public utility use, which is not allowed by right in our use table, but by appeal subject to special conditions. And it's actually has an address 10620 Gayfer Road Extension. And Riviera proposes to erect a 115 kilowatt volt. That's what that V's for. I'm like, what did I put the V in there for? Okay. Substation on the subject property to better serve its customers. It was recently annexed in the city of Fairhope on October 9th of this year. The ordinance is 1783, and it was zoned as R1, as typically happens when you're annexed in. So it's mostly surrounded by Baldwin County properties, except for the southeast adjacent city zone property, which is the subdivision River Station. And there's the map. River Station is this flag looking one right there. Yeah, it's a common area. They're actually more of this area right here. And then you got North Station up there. Okay, this is the proposed layout of the substation with all the science. So the applicant states the site was chosen because of its relation to the existing transmission line located along Gayfer Road Extension, and it will allow Riviera to shed load off of two other electrical substations and allow for that additional capacity around the Alabama Highways 104 and 181 locations. As you guys are aware, there's a lot of development out there. No wetlands on the property. It was already barren of trees, so tree survey nor a tree protection plan is necessary. An extensive landscaping plan was submitted. It's directly adjacent to residential property, mostly zoned by Baldwin County. But the applicant went ahead and provided a 10-foot landscape buffer, and the buffer will screen the subject property from the directly adjacent incompatible uses, in this case, the residential ones. That's what it looks like with the landscaping and the street. And we recommend approval of this. And we did not get any letters or any kind of emails or any kind of communication from who we sent the letters to. So, and Riviera's here if you guys want to ask them more questions about the science.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Would the applicant like to come up for additional questions or additions? If you'll state your name for the record.
My name is Scott Sly, S-L-I-G-H, and I'm the chief engineer at Riviera Utilities.
Anything you want to add to it?
I'd just like to reiterate what Michelle just said. You know, the reason we're needing to build this is for capacity. There's a lot of things going on that Highway 181 and 104 corridor, and us being able to drop this in there and feed out to there is going to help us, especially when we see events like we had December 24th where it got so cold and the system was pretty heavily loaded. And as this continues to develop out there, this capacity will give us what we need to be as reliable as we want to be.
Are most of the lines underground now, or?
Coming out of the substation, they will be underground. The existing line, the existing transmission line runs from County Road 13 behind Major's Run. It crosses 181 near the Resner property, comes down Blueberry, hits Gayfer, and then goes in a straight line all the way to Silver Hill. So coming out of the substation, we're proposing to put underground coming out until we get out to wherever we need to go. Our board has actually enacted a policy that everything new that we build is underground anyway, so you don't see us building a whole lot of overhead.
What's the western limit or border where Riviera goes and Fairhope Utility begin?
Oh, that's a...
Well, I'd say on Gayfer or...
It's, so we'll feed from the animal clinic at, on 181 just south of Vance Cabinets. We'll feed from there north, and we'll feed from there west along Mosley Road.
Oh.
When you get to Major's Run, that's going to be Fairhope again.
Okay.
And when you get north on 13 by Leslie Staskel's house, that's Baldwin EMC. And then when you get south of that intersection, you get back down to the Marathon gas station and the Hemflings, that picks up Riviera, and we go clear down to Barnwell from there.
Yeah, with the different electrical territories that we have between EMC, Riviera, City of Fairhope, there is not a distinct, clear, or easy way of explaining where those separations exist. Therefore, as every project that we review, whether it's in front of this board or planning commission or city council, will contact all of the electrical authorities. Applicants provide a utility availability letter that gets reviewed in depth to make sure that we have all the appropriate utilities responsible for servicing any new development or application that we have. Like I said, unfortunately, we don't have a clear where we can just say the east side of this road is EMC or the west side is Riviera to go with it.
You ought to go to our website and pull up our outage viewer, which shows a map of our territory, and just look at that craziness.
It is kind of unusual that, like, though, for another utility company to be trying to build a substation on Fairhope property. I think that's not the question. It's like, you think that this is going to be Fairhope Utilities. And it's
Yes.
kind of it's in that weird zone where everything overlaps. So there's Fairhope property that is not Fairhope Utilities in this zone, and then there's property that is outside of Fairhope that's probably served by Fairhope Utilities, and vice versa, correct?
That's correct. So coming east down Gayfer, the last Fairhope property that Fairhope Electric serves is going to be Major's Run, the subdivision Major's Run.
All right, thank you.
So the properties adjacent to it, how many of the properties adjacent were notified about this? I mean, how many do you have to tell them?
It's right here.
Usually 300 feet.
See,
from-
every property within a 300-foot radius of that property.
And you had nobody objected to it?
We did not receive any comments from any citizens on this project.
Amazing.
From it being mailed out to it being published on our website.
Okay.
What
And
if,
south of this property, it's nothing, right? It must go back to,
South of the property, it's a wooded lot.
yeah.
There's a house on it, but it's kind of on the southern end of that property. It's probably a 20-acre parcel right there, if I had to guess.
if this is approved by us, what is the next steps associated with this?
The next step for the city of Fairhope would be submitting for building permits to begin construction.
Okay. So this doesn't go to planning commission or anything else?
No, this is the one approval that they need to move forward with permitting. This is allowing the use on this property. So as Michelle mentioned in the staff report, we just recently annexed in the property. They could have built this. They were in Baldwin County, could have built it, went through their reviews, annexed into the city of Fairhope, and now is coming before you guys for approval.
So does that have advantages for the city of Fairhope? I mean, it was just annexed, so before it was not city, so why did the city of Fairhope annex it?
Well, what this will do is it allows now that this property is annexed, it gives the opportunities to the properties that are adjacent to it to
Right.
come in
I
to the
understand
city.
that.
Any expansion of our city limits is usually a positive in allowing future properties to come into the city as well.
And all that development on like 104 and 181 needs more juice.
And honestly, we wanted to work with the city of Fairhope. We work so closely with Fairhope Electric and the other people anyway. When we bought this property in 2019, that was our plan.
I see.
And
Okay.
when the law changed and the dividing lines were changed, that stuck us in the county. But we'd always planned to permit this with Fairhope going back to 2019.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
This time we'll open the public portion. Is anybody from the public that would like to speak for or against it? If you'll come up to the microphone, please, and state your name for us.
I basically just have a question. What's the
Would-
timeline on this?
Would you state your name, because we're
Oh,
being
I'm Brian
recorded?
Flowers. I'm an alternate.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So this is a learning session for me. So,
Okay.
so with that said, I was just more curious in terms of what the timeline would be from construction to completion. That was it.
Okay.
Question for
Yeah, go right ahead.
So substations take a while to build. They take a while to get material. So I would like to start the site work immediately and get it graded and get the retention in and the under drains and that kind of thing. The substation transformer and some of the major pieces of equipment I cannot get until July of 2024 if they're telling me the lead time's correct. So I would expect realistically this time next year.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak for or against the project? Okay, we'll close the public portion. And board members, do we have any discussion or a motion?
I make a motion to approve, and it's not in front of me, then.
It's just straight out, straightforward, yep.
Shanks. I make a motion to approve case 2312, Riviera Utilities.
I second the motion.
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Ryan?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Is there any other new business? Do we have a meeting for next month?
We do
Merry
not.
Christmas.
Yeah,
We do
happy
have
Thanksgiving.
A meeting for December, and we will notify you via email if we get any applications for the January meeting, so that way you can be preparing for that.
Very good.
Very
Other than
good.
that, we have no other comments.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Do we have a
Have a
motion
good
to adjourn?
Turkey Day.
We have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all maybe in January.
All right.